Good morning. Good morning. What a beautiful morning. And I am way earlier than I normally am. There's a whole thing with that, but we won't get into that right now. I'm always up about this early, so I was just up a whole other 45 minutes early this morning for some strange reason. And I'm switching up the order of what I'm doing this morning to what I normally do. So I haven't done my tuning forks and I haven't done my gua sha yet. I'm just now sitting down to my first cup of tea. So it's quiet in the house right now. Astra and I have been playing fetch, and I wanted to get this done earlier because I just want to change the order this morning. I want to see how it works. See how awake I am for daily devotional. Normally I journal a little bit first, and I haven't done that yet. So for those of you who are just finding this random video, this woman talking, my name is Red, and you are watching Daily Devotions with Red Moon Eagle. It is March 6th. It is a Wednesday, and we are in the tide of destruction, which is between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So let's dive in. Sacred self-care. Look for fairies. When I pulled this, I laughed. Look for fairies. What I believe I see appear before me. Keep your eyes and ears open for evidence of fairies and other ethereal beings. Remember, they're genuinely all around you, brimming with creative ideas and guidance to help you on your journey. You just have to tune into their presence. And first, you have to believe they exist. Journal prompt: how do you think you can connect more with your childlike sense of wonder and keep open to life's infinite potential? I love that. Mantra: what I believe I see appear before me. Love that. I'm gonna take a little bit of water. I feel really dehydrated this morning, so I'm like drinking a lot of water. Okay, Firefly. Inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting. The firefly contains the light of 1,000 stars. It's pure, radiant, and illuminating. This high-frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the Firefly card indicates a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. There is Firefly energy behind every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness this creative spirit when it graces our path. What can you do to support this precious, elusive light? When in balance, writes, creates, and brainstorms. When out of balance, burnt out, feels dull. To bring into balance, write a poem or draw. Love Firefly. Okay, Mystic Shaman Oracle. Number 42, the Rainmaker. The essence of the Rainmaker is the master of manifestation. Who can call on the elements of nature to serve the greater good? When the power to co-create is used with integrity, great beauty and benefit flow to all. When this power is used for personal gain only, everyone suffers. When the earth is parched, the Rainmaker calls the waters from the heavens, and all that is dormant in the fields and in the people's hearts springs to life again. The invitation of Rainmaker is calling you to create something new from the elements that are already in your life. Be sure you work with what is and not with what might be or could have been. The seeds that have been silently germinating in your heart will burst forth ready for the sunlight. Do not hold back. Put all your chips in the next roll of the divine dice. The medicine of this card is to recognize how you are co-creating in the world. Nothing is happening out there without your involvement. Remember that the world is only mirroring back to you the condition of your love and your intent. So change these within before you can take any action. Do not take life personally. I love this. Oh my goodness. I feel like Rainmaker is just another card in a series of messages about getting out into the world. You know, it's not happening out there without you. The world's only mirroring back to you the conditions that you're living in and that you need to be involved. The master of manifestation, who can call the elements of nature to serve the greater good. When the power to co-create is used with integrity, great benefit flows to all. When this power is used for personal gain, everyone suffers. When the earth is parched, the rainmaker calls the waters from heavens, and all that is dormant in the fields and in people's hearts come to life again. I think this is just kind of like one of those cards that I feel like is the mantra of why I do daily devotions and why I am so passionate about Body of Nine, why I'm so passionate about teaching, why I'm very passionate about social justice. I was actually sitting yesterday, I was reflecting that I have been extraordinarily passionate about social justice since I was a little kid. And there was a point in my life where I don't know how many girls go through this, but I went through it. And I told my dad, I was like, I can be president? It was kind of a question, right? And also a statement. And he goes, of course you can be president. And I was like, so I can help people? And he goes, you could help people and not be president. And I went, so I can't be president. And I don't really remember the rest of that conversation, but I remember later, years later, I had made a comment and I had dipped my toe into a little bit of quote unquote politics in high school. And it was kind of an accident, actually. And my dad didn't say this, but someone else said it to me. Another adult figure in my family said that I would not make a very good politician because I am too passionate and I'm too honest. And I thought, that's a terrible thing to say to someone, but it stuck. It stuck. And unfortunately, it stuck. And not because I consider myself a political person, because I don't. I think that the person that told me that I'm too passionate, too honest is probably a true statement. I am too passionate and I'm too honest in the sense that I really, really care. And you don't find politicians that make it that care, or not very many of them. And too many, especially in our modern world, have this integrity problem. They have an authenticity and an integrity problem. And it's sad. And I really want it to change. I want the plumber down the street who wants to serve his city or his county or his state to be able to run without needing $4 million to put his name on the ballot. I want the woman who runs a daycare to take 2 years off running her daycare and go serve in the state senate if she wants to, or run for a Washington seat and bring her perspective of being a mom and a daycare owner, a small business owner. I want her to be able to do that without needing $4 million in the bank and some high-end business lobbyist to say, yes, we will sponsor you. I would like the student who is interested in serving the government to be able to go into law, or I would like each person when they graduate high school to be able to go and get a college degree if they want one, or go to a trade school if they want to, without worrying whether or not their babies are going to be fed, or whether or not they have a house over their head. Or there's so much inequity in our culture, and all of these cards just bring it all forward for me. It does. These two specifically, the Rainmaker and Firefly, because Firefly is the light of 1,000 stars, pure and illuminating. This high frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the Firefly indicates a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. And the light and the spark that I carry passionately about social justice, I feel like in one lifetime, it's just a tiny spark. One person who has the integrity to step forward and do the work is a fleeting thing, because our lives are only, I don't know, 100 years maybe, out of the plethora of time moving forward. And there's this young lady, and I can never remember her name. She is I believe she's Latina, and she's serving in New York City or New York State, and I believe she's a senator. And she's young, she is passionate, and she has been vilified in the media. And she's done so much work. I have watched her from alternative news media, and I belong to a newsletter that kind of comes out that talks about some of the younger senators and congressmen, people that are trying really hard to swim upstream in this culture of, you know, people who are in their 80s and 90s that have been in. And I want to say this from a perspective of, I am not against somebody in their 80s and 90s being in government. That's not my problem. I've never had a problem with that. I don't care how old you are. If you're 22, I don't think you should be not available to run for city or state or wherever. You know, if you have the skills and the knowledge, great. Most people haven't lived a whole lot of life by then, but every once in a while you have had somebody who's lived a lot of life by then. So age is not the barrier that I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is somebody who has been in politics for 40, 50 years, and they have amassed millions of dollars, and their income is so large, they have income in foreign banks stashed away so that they don't have to declare United States taxes. And every time a law comes forward, they're given money and property and gifts. They are being bribed. It's basically legalized corruption. And I have a problem with that. That money, those things, should not go to somebody who is running for office and who is in an elected office. I really don't think it should. I think that's corruption. It's paying for a bill. It's paying for corporations who are already in the billions and billions and keeping that 1% to 2% of wealth separate. And it reinforces a class system. And I know in America, we like to think of ourselves as in a classless society, and we are not. We are in a class society. And the childlike wonder that I used to have, what I believe I see appear before me, right? What I believed as a child, with that childlike wonder, that the United States is a classless, everybody has the opportunity to move forward culture. I was taught this. It was reinforced in school. It was, ironically, not part of what my dad used to say, which I think is quite insightful of my father, because we never talked about some topics that are very near and dear to my heart, but there are things that he did not do that helped me question as I got older. And one of the things that the childlike wonder and the things that we feed into our children that are not true, that need to be changed. So we're gonna go into positionality. So positionality. I appear, y'all watch me every day, right? I'm a white chick, clearly I am almost translucent white. Red hair, gray, greeny, blue eyes, depending on what sunlight. I have a house, I have a car, I have my own business. My husband has a job. I'm married, right? I'm married to another white dude, right? He's got a job. We pay rent. You know, we have food. We have the ability to have food. We have clothes. We live a life of privilege in the United States. Positionality, for me, is a tricky thing because my upbringing was fraught with all kinds of problems. My ancestry is mixed race. I have a mixed race ancestry. I am a descendant of both colonial immigrants, so those who subjugated Native Americans, and I also come from ancestry who immigrated in the late 1800s, or basically turn of the 19th century. And I come from a family who, both sides of my family are immigrants, basically, into this country. And both sides of the family have deep racist problems, deeply rooted racist problems. And I know that my father's side of the family don't consider themselves racist. They don't even see it. And my mother's side of the family are racist. They are 100% racist. And if they were confronted with it, I don't think they'd admit it, but I know that my mother's side of the family have deep racist problems. And I think that my struggle with those things, not understanding, because my father would never consider himself racist. He wouldn't. But there is some racism going on there. There's this passive racism, and I 100% have contributed to that in my life, not understanding some of the situational racism that I have been in. And then I have also been in situations where I have been able to say something and back somebody up and acknowledge the situation for as awful as it was. And where do these cards in today's conversation come in? I'm holding them. And the Rainmaker is the card, I think, for me in this that really brings this forward. The Rainmaker is calling to create something new from the elements that are already in my life. And my intersectionality includes mixed race heritage, includes a history of immigration in my family, deeply set racism in my family. I am also a woman in a society that is run by old white men, which just pisses me off still. I am not the first, I don't think, but one of the first college graduate educated women on my mother's side, for sure. I don't think I'm the first one on my father's side, but I'm probably in that first generation of women that went through and have a full college education. And so in our class system in the United States, there are three things that in many situations are positionally classist, which is income, education, and profession. Like, what's your work? And so income-wise, I personally have always lived in the poor. I've always, except a couple times in my life, brief little flickers of time where I have lived above the poverty line, yay. As in, I made above the poverty line, not that I lived above the poverty line. I have always lived in poverty, especially once I became an adult. And I have education, and I've had some amazing jobs, and I still have to live below the poverty line. I have never made income that has brought me above that poverty line. So positionality wise, there are a lot of factors that have given me life experiences that are not unique at all in the American paradigm. I have not. I am at the bottom of the barrel with so many people. I've been lucky that, and I recognize that my positionality is a little different. I have had a partner that has had the same job for 20 something years. And his family also has history of immigration, living on the East Coast, living in poverty, middle classy, lower income, lower than middle class, but not quite middle class, and then absolute abject poverty, slum living on the East Coast. Like, there's a history there. And my husband does not have a college education. He has no interest in a college education. He's a blue collar worker, basically. I think that's the word we're looking for. And so, and he's white and male. And so he has had opportunities in ways that a lot of people don't. My positionality from the outside looking in is very middle class, white, elitist looking, and I get that. The reality is that everybody's positionality puts them somewhere on the spectrum between being at the bottom of the barrel with nothing, living in your car, having been there, I know what that is, to maybe having a house with a hundreds of thousands of dollars mortgage where you have to work 2 and 3 jobs or you will be out on your ear, to people who have generational wealth. And unfortunately, generational wealth is less than 5% of the population of the United States. And that wealth disappears really quickly if you don't have the ability to continue to build it. And I don't care about those people. I really don't. I would rather build a world where we were all equitable, where people have real food all the time. You know, we have the technology now. We can build greenhouses anywhere in the United States and grow year-round food, healthy, organic, year-round food, no matter where you are. We don't have to be having these huge farms where we're pulling, I don't know, 500 million tons of corn out of it to feed cows 2 years down the road, right? Like, why aren't we pushing for local grown foods where we don't have to ship it all the way across the country? I'm not trying to put people out of jobs. I'm trying to figure out how to feed everybody. Why can't we feed every single person in our valley? We have the technology to do greenhouse growing where we could feed everybody and keep everybody fed, where it doesn't cost so much money. Like, to go to the store and buy organic broccoli, but we have to wait for the broccoli to come from Mexico. Why? Why are we doing that? I don't understand. And that broccoli, if you grew it locally and you grew a lot of it, you could feed every family in the area broccoli, real broccoli. I have ideas. I have questions, and I have ideas, and I have questions about why we can't get out of the paradigm that I have food, but the family next door doesn't have food because they don't make enough money. I have, years and years and years ago, I was on food stamps because I was going to school full time and I was raising 2 small children and I was working, and it was tough. And food stamps were something that I could get, and then I participated a lot in like food exchanges and different things. And one of the things that I did every month is that when I had extra, I'd put it in a bag and I would give it to another family that maybe they didn't qualify for food stamps. Dad worked and mom worked, but they had 4 kids. Or like I knew a family that dad worked and mom worked and the kids were really small, but they were constantly like having vehicle problems and they were constantly having trouble with other things. And both parents smoked a lot of cigarettes and nobody drank, thank God. But, like, yeah, you could question, well, don't spend the money on cigarettes, spend the money on food. And I get that. But when you're really stressed and you have a lot of trauma and you have littles, it's sometimes the parents' only thing that they do for themselves is their cigarettes. And I'm not making that okay, but I would give them groceries. And I didn't have anything, guys. Like, it's not like I was making tons of money, but I participated in programs that if it left me food, and I bought bulk if I could with my food stamps. I was always home cooking things, so groceries for me at the time were actually cheaper than the way a lot of people were shopping. I taught classes on how to feed your family on food stamps and have stuff left over. I know things have changed over the years, and I get that, but I've always tried to give back, and giving back one family at a time is a way to do it, but we as a culture could be doing more. And we all have the choice to participate, and I think we all should be participating in each other, in each other's communities, not to meddle, not to create drama, but to help. I think it's important. And too many times we're not hearing each other and we're not helping each other. And what I think of as help may not be help. So ask somebody if they need help. Ask how you can help. I'm not going to be the person that volunteers to come clean your bathroom. I don't even like to clean my own bathroom. But maybe I can drive somebody to and from doctor's appointments, or pick up groceries for someone, or there's so many different ways we can reach out and help each other. And it doesn't have to be at the homeless shelter. It doesn't have to be at the nursing home. It doesn't have to be... There's a cookie cutter white privilege perspective. And it's been reflected back at me a lot of times. I actually had an event, something happened to me about 2 weeks ago, and it is still eating at me. We held a magnificent event, and I was having it was a really rough day for me. I have really, really long days sometimes, and physiologically my body gets into a lot of pain if I push too hard. And I needed to mop and I needed to clean up the space that we were in, because it's a school space, and the students would be back Monday morning, and there was nobody there that weekend to clean. So I was the person renting the space, so I cleaned it. And at the end of the event, I asked my friends that were there with me to run the event, I said, can you help me like mop and clean up and take out garbages? And they were amazing and they were wonderful. It was awesome. And the next couple days go by, and I was talking to another person, and she was mad. She was like, you don't need to be doing that. Like, you're a person that should be doing this, that, and the other, and you should let somebody else do that. Find some other cleaner to do it. And there was this other woman standing there with us, and she goes, well, you need extra money, you could do it. And I'm like, wow, what an elitist. It was such an elitist statement to make. And it was so not only denigrating to me, but denigrating to that other woman. Like, what makes me, because the way I won't even go into the words she used, but the words she used were not only insulting to me, like, I'm pretty sure I can make my own decisions, thank you very much, but she was also denigrating and putting this other woman in a lesser class through that conversation, through the statements she was making. I know that she did not mean it, but it is it's a white classist, elitist assumption to make. And on top of that, as I tried to explain to her, like, well, I get paid to clean that space. Like, yes, I rent the space, but I also get paid to clean up and to take care of the space because I do work for that business as like a part-time manager of the space type thing. And it was absolutely mind-boggling, the elitism and the classism that we perpetrate onto each other. A couple years ago, I was working for a couple doctors, and one of the doctors said that I just needed to have different friends and I would make more money. And it blew my mind, the inequity and the classism built into that statement. I recognized it when it happened. I did not have the words to say anything back, just like a couple weeks ago. I didn't have the words to say something back to this other woman other than, I don't think we should talk about this right now, because what I wanted to say was not kind. And as we've talked about in Daily Devotions, I do intentionally try to bring intentional kindness into my communication and my words with people. So this daily devotion went way off into a field I'm sure nobody was expecting, but Rainmaker, I want to read again. The Rainmaker is the master of manifestation who call on the elements of nature to serve a greater good. The power to co-create is used with integrity, beauty, and the benefit of flow to all. When this power is used for personal gain, everyone suffers. When the earth is parched, Rainmaker calls the waters of heavens and all that is dormant in the fields into people's hearts to spring to life. The Rainmaker is calling you to create something new from the elements that are already in your life. Be sure to work on what it is and not what might be or could have been. The seeds that have been silently germinating in your heart will burst forth ready for the sunlight. Don't hold back. Put your chips in the next roll of the divine rice. Recognize how you're co-creating. Nothing is happening out there without your involvement. Remember, the world is only mirroring back to you the condition of your love and your intent. So change these within before you take action. So change your perspective. Change your perspective of where you are. Really do a self-evaluation. Where is your perspective of your classism in your life? Are you inadvertently pushing other people down around you? And are you not lifting everyone up equitably? And the Firefly, inspired and fantastic yet fleeting. High frequency charge. The Firefly energy is in every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness the creative spirit when it comes in our path. What can you do to support this elusive light? When in balance, writing, creating, brainstorming. When out of balance, burnt out, feels dull. Bring into balance, write a poem, draw. I'm doing a lot of writing lately. Doing a lot of writing. And then, what was it? Look at the fairies. I think this one's like the coolest part of this day's draw, which is, these are heavy topics I've talked about today. But what do you think? So the journal is, how do you think you can connect more with your childlike sense of wonder and keep open to life's infinite potential? And I think that's what I come back to. These are heavy topics, and they are, but I am just as passionate about them today as I was when I was a child. And I still care so much about making the world a better place. I'm gonna cry, guys. I am still so passionate about making the world a better place. And I don't know how to do it alone, and I can't do it alone. I need all of you, and you need all of us. Wherever you are in the world, we need each other to make the world a better place. And we have to do that by being involved. We can't just talk into the YouTube like I'm doing today. We have to be involved. I'm involved. I'm involved in a micro level, and I'm okay with that. And I'm still trying to figure out what that involvement looks like where I don't burn out, because there's only so much of me to go around. And If I'm a firefly, so are you. So what happens when you get a whole bunch of fireflies out in the grass on a beautiful summer day? You light up a yard. You light up in the darkness, and it's not dark anymore. So let's all pull together, all of us fireflies. Let's figure out what we can do. Have a beautiful day, my friends, and I will see you in prayer tomorrow. Have a blessed day.